answer the bell. Now let's go.
Good afternoon. Welcome into Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. I'm Chris Yao, joined as always by Mo Patton here on this Thursday edition. Mo, what's up?
How much, man? Looking forward to this show. We got a lot.
Got a lot.
And
it's going to be fun.
Stuff. Yeah.
Plenty of stuff to talk about. I got a couple of great guests. It is going to be one of the more exciting shows and I've been saying this for 20 days now for June, and yet we just continue to pump out a lot of content, a lot of great sports news discussions taking place here on the show. So looking forward to that continuing today. We have Scott Beasley of Post 19, as you saw on the title card there. He's going to be joining us on Coach's Corner. Other than those two losses to the Throwbacks last week over at MTSU, they have been on a roll. So they'll look to bounce back after that championship game loss to the Throwbacks as they head to Missouri tomorrow, is it? I think it's Missouri. Somewhere. They're going on a trip in their favorite rocket ship.
Well, I know that next week they will not be traveling.
Right.
Because they'll be hosting their own tournament.
Yeah. Sikeston, Missouri.
Oh, Sikeston. You know what else is in Sikeston, don't you?
I don't.
Lambert's. The original.
Really?
Yes.
Well, I'll be at the other one.
The one in Foley?
Next week.
There you go.
So that should be fun. But yeah, I did not know that the original Lambert's. It's home of the Throwed Rolls.
The Throwed Roll. Not thrown.
That's right. Throwed.
Throwed. Yeah.
I feel much better as an Alabama native knowing that Sikeston, Missouri came up with that and not Foley, Alabama.
Yeah, I can see where that might make you feel a little better.
Just a tiny bit. Just a tiny bit.
It wasn't us.
Little Einsteins, Justin. It was not Backyardigans, but good on you to know that's where I went with my favorite rocket ship. Good call. We also have Matt DiBenedetto, who's going to join us and talk a little double dose of NASCAR.
Figured out how to say it.
Matty D, baby. Yeah, DiBenedetto. It's a lot of the.
There's a lot of consonants in there, and plenty of opportunities to screw it up. So I think I'm probably just going to go with Matty D myself.
There you go.
But you're kind of the lead host here.
Do your best, Chris. And that's what we will do. We'll talk to him. Double dose of NASCAR this week, as obviously Nashville Super Speedway will be hosting NASCAR events all weekend long, starting with the Rackley Roofing 200. And you can still win tickets to the Rackley Roofing 200. I believe if you go to any of the Main Street Media websites, mainstreetmediatn.com, and find the ad that says click here, and you can do that, and you can potentially win Rackley Roofing 200 tickets. Plenty of other news to get to, and we're going to do that. But before we do any of that, the first thing we're going to do is give you guys yesterday's results and today's schedule on the rundown.
This is the Rundown.
The Thursday Rundown is brought to you by Titans Flag Football. Have your kids play like the pros this fall season in select locations across Middle Tennessee. Titans Flag Football brings pre-K through 8th graders together to learn football fundamentals and, most importantly, have fun. Sign up for their fall season by visiting www.titansflagfootball.com.
Results from yesterday in Major League Baseball: Reds 5, Rockies 3, Cubs down the Pirates 8-3. It was the Diamondbacks 5, Brewers 1. The Astros, a 10-8 winner over the Mets. It was the Nationals blanking the Cardinals 3-0. Boy. Giants doubling up the Padres. We'll talk about that one a little bit later, 4-2. Minor League Baseball action. Norfolk got the best of the Sounds last night, 8-3. And despite Keston Hiura's return and all kinds of things, college baseball action. Florida 3, TCU 2. Horned Frogs eliminated. They gotta keep Texas Christian. they don't get TCU back yet.
Nope, not yet.
LSU forces an if necessary game against the Demon Deacons of Wake Forest with a 5-2 win. And WNBA action, the Aces just continue to roll. They may not lose. 99.
And the Aces never lose.
The Aces never lose. And 99-79 over Phoenix in an MLS play. Nashville's 10-match
Nashville finally lost.
They did.
Yeah.
And then that was a 1-0 victory for Montreal.
Major League Baseball action today. As we speak, the Braves and Phillies are scoreless into the
Top of the eighth.
Top of the eighth? Okay. So we've cleared the seventh. Padres and Giants. First pitch.
Did it in 9 pitches, did Bryce Elder.
Nice. Padres and Giants start at 2:45. And in minor league action, the Sounds continue their series against Norfolk. Doubleheader action today beginning at 5:35 out at First Horizon Park. College baseball. LSU Wake Forest, 6 o'clock, ESPN2. Somebody is going to the championship series out of this game.
And someone else's flag is going to
Will
be a half
lowered.
staff.
Yes, yes. Unfortunate tradition there in Omaha. WNBA action tonight at 7 on CBS Sports Network. You've got the Connecticut Sun at the Minnesota Lynx. Also at 7 o'clock on Prime, you've got the Washington Mystics at the Chicago Sky. Second half of that doubleheader on Prime at 9. The Indiana Fever is at the Seattle Storm. Seeing no other business, that is your rundown.
Today's top story brought to you today and every day by our friends at Piggly Wiggly and Neely's Mill, Columbia, Tennessee. Down home, down the street. We'll see you at the Pig. Make sure to go check them out. Hand-cut meats fresh daily, as well as their deli counter. Top story today, Mo, coming out of the NBA is the NBA draft is just a few hours away, but the Memphis Grizzlies will not be partaking in the first round tonight or one of their first round picks next year.
Well, as of right now, they're not partaking in the first round.
There is that. But a trade goes down last night involving the Grizzlies, the Washington Wizards, and the Boston Celtics.
Yes.
Sending Marcus Smart, shooting guard. You wanted to know what they were going to do without Dylan Brooks? Now you know.
Yeah, but it raised another question.
Who's going to bring the ball up the court for the first 25 games?
What are they going to do without Tyus Jones? Yeah. I mean, I had said that Tyus Jones was probably the safest guy on the Memphis Grizzlies roster. I was clearly wrong.
It happens, especially when, I mean, it was a completely legitimate thought.
I mean, when a team only has one point guard for the first 25 games, you would think that one point guard would be the guy that you would be hanging on to. But hey, there's people that get paid way more money than I do to make those decisions. So
this deal includes center Kristaps Porzingis. Sure. To the Celtics from Washington. Tyus Jones, as we mentioned, will be headed to Washington. Marcus Smart to the Grizzlies. And in addition, as we said, Boston gets the 25th selection today. as
That
well.
was Memphis's
Correct.
pick.
And the Golden State Warriors top 4 protected first round pick in 2024, which is something the Grizzlies owned and could deal away, and they did. The Celtics send the 35th pick in tonight's draft to Washington. The Celtics also send Danilo Gallinari and Mike Muscala to Washington as part of the deal. So the Grizzlies get Marcus Smart. That's it.
And that's it.
Now, I'm curious.
And I don't indications are that Marcus Smart's not terribly happy about it. Don't think he necessarily wanted to leave Boston.
Well, I mean, would you want to leave the Eastern Conference?
Probably not.
I mean, this is an interesting situation because, you know, the Celtics they've got Jaylen Brown, who is, I guess, a free agent of some sort. Or they're extending his contract potentially to a Supermax deal. And then, of course, they've got to sort out Grant Williams.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Smart is a 9-year veteran, all of which with Boston. 2022 League Defensive Player of the Year, 3-time All-Defensive First Team performer, longest tenured player on the team, and 4th in 3-pointers and assists all time. Bet you didn't know that.
I did not.
So,
I mean, let me ask you this. Kennedy Chandler?
maybe. I'm reading an article on NBA.com kind of analyzing this trade. Smart last year averaged 11.5 points and a career-high 6.3 assists. He offers the Grizzlies a steady hand to manage the point during Ja Morant's 25-game minimum suspension. Jeez. Okay, NBA.com. He also brings postseason experience to the Grizzlies, who haven't been able to win one playoff series despite finishing second in the West the past 2 seasons.
NBA.com wrote that? NBA.com wrote that.
Have they not? Is that inaccurate? Did they win a series?
They beat the Minnesota Timberwolves in 7 games last year in round 1.
Well,
NBA.com got it.
he also brings postseason experience to the Grizzlies, who haven't been able to win one playoff series despite finishing second in the West the past 2 seasons. 2022 NBA postseason.
Wow.
Let's see.
That is
2022 playoffs.
That is something.
That is indeed something, because they defeated the Timberwolves 4-2 before falling in the conference semifinals to Golden State. Yep. Hey, we report, you decide.
NBA.com. That's wild.
Jones, 27, had been regarded as one of the league's best backups, turning a career-high campaign during the 22-23 season, setting highs in points, 10.3, assists, 5.2, and minutes, 24.3, across 80 games. The move to rebuilding Washington offers a chance to show he's ready for a leading role. Washington, which just traded Bradley Beal to Phoenix a couple of days ago as well, so they are in the market for a starting point guard.
Washington? Well, not now.
Well, no, not now. But that's what I'm saying.
But they were. Yeah, they needed a point guard, and that's actually I think that's kind of how the whole deal got moving again, because it was just Washington and Boston trying to deal, and they couldn't get it done. And so Memphis coming in and sweetening up the deal, much to the dismay of Marcus Smart. As you said, Boston Globe reporting that he was
less than pleased.
Not happy, but mostly because he loved Boston and wanted to retire there. which is understandable. I mean, he's kind of been the face of that franchise.
Again,
he colored his hair green.
He's the longest tenured Celtic as of, the time of this, prior to this trade. So, been there a while.
I don't know if Joseph Sullivan is watching right now, but we may need to get his reaction at some point to this trade. But obviously, we'll find out a little bit more about what the plan is for the Memphis Grizzlies after tonight.
Yeah,
and hopefully, we'll be able to shed some light on that within the next few days. If not tomorrow, maybe next week. You guys can delve into that somehow. Interesting. Marcus Smart. I love it. I mean, if you're looking for the Grizzlies for that veteran leadership, a guy who can shoot the rock, he's going to be the guy
and can D somebody up.
And a 3-time all NBA defensive team.
Right.
So I mean, to me, he is the exact type of player the Grizzlies needed in order to take that next step. And
you just didn't necessarily see giving Tyus Jones up.
No, but if that's what it took to get him, I guess I can understand the thought process behind it. Not that I necessarily agree with it, because I need to know who's going to bring the ball up.
Well, I guess Smart's going to bring the ball up.
Potentially. I don't know. We'll see. Should be interesting. Before we get to Coach's Corner, we have a small short note in top story number 2, friend of the show, and one of the most influential people, if not the most influential people in all of college football. College football playoff director Bill Hancock announced he'll retire after the 2025 season as head of the college football playoffs. He said, I got you 12 teams. You guys got to figure out what to do with it.
Yeah, there you go.
And look, I mean, Bill Hancock has certainly navigated this thing for a long time and steered the ship really well. So I think we have to, give him his due, and I'll be looking forward to talking with him. I'm sure that we'll get that chance at SEC Media Day.
If not before.
So, I mean, I'm excited to see what the playoffs look like, and I think that he is too. I think the big question is, does he get Nashville done before he leaves?
Yeah, I certainly think, from our perspective, that's probably one of the biggest questions. And I don't expect to get an answer to it this summer, but certainly that's something that they've got to be working on. We talked to Scott Ramsey a couple of weeks ago about some other things, and that came up. And obviously with the new stadium now on the books, you got to think that would be one of the next dominoes to fall, would be getting in the rotation for some sort of role in the national playoffs, whether it be a game, whether it be the game, something.
Yeah. Let's take a break. First break of the day. Again, later in the show, we'll talk with Matt DiBenedetto, the Rackley War Truck Series driver in the Rackley Roofing 200. But next, we talk a little Summer League baseball and Coach's Corner. Scott Beasley of the Columbia Post-19 Seniors will join us, talk about their trip to Missouri that is on the horizon. So stick around. Main Street Sports Today is presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint. We'll be right back to the Lee Company studio in just a moment. Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you. No matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Welcome back to Today's Better Health. I'm Colleen Barton, and I'm here with Dr. Gil Kentoff and Dr. Wendy Toohey, and we're talking about the latest treatments in back and neck pain.
Many people, Colleen, come to see us with neck and back pain, and they develop tingling and numbness down the arm or lower back pain that develops into sciatica shooting down their leg. And for these patients, we have an advanced treatment technology, non-surgical decompression therapy, that we really introduced to this area. It separates the vertebrae and creates a suction to allow fluids and nutrients back in to heal the disc naturally, relieving pressure on the nerve and on the joint. It's an amazing treatment.
We've been helping patients like this for the last 30 years, helping them get back to work, get back to their family, get back to the life they want to live.
I mean, it really is amazing. Technology helping us to live pain-free and better lives.
Right.
And I bet you have a special offer.
The first 25 callers will receive an examination, x-rays, review of our findings, and their first treatment, all for $39.
Call 615-551-3897 today to receive this special offer.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between, discover what Hit City has to offer. Spend your nights cheering on the Nashville Sounds at First Horizon Park with giveaways, fireworks shows, theme weekends, and more. Single game tickets are on sale now. Visit NashvilleSounds.com to claim your seat today.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic service, and our Ortho Quick Walk-In Clinic lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. We are in the Lee Company studio here in Columbia. Glad to have you guys with us, as always, on this fine Thursday afternoon. It's been an interesting week in the world of weather. It's just yesterday we walked out of Trevecca and it was raining and yet felt like we were just bearing into the sun.
Raining and sunny. I mean, like sunglasses sunny.
That was wild.
It was one of the oddest things I've ever experienced.
It wasn't like normal sunshine and rain. It was
No,
a
it
very
was like
different
bright
sunshine and rain.
Yeah.
Very odd.
Very odd.
Hopefully the weather will be better come this weekend in Sikeston, Missouri, as Columbia Post 19 makes the trip to the Midwest. And leading the team will be Coach Scott Beasley, and he joins us on Coach's Corner, presented by From the Heart Cafe out in Chapel Hill. Renee Hart and the fine folks there keeping you fed and happy. Make sure to go see her on your way to Henry Horton State Park or out in Chapel Hill. Scott, welcome into the show. What's going on? Oh, he's watching golf.
He's watching golf, or golf is, at the moment, golf is watching him.
That's
true.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Hey, man, what tournament is this that you all are heading to in Missouri?
Technically, it's a team out of Charleston, Missouri. They're called the Fighting Squirrels. They put on a big 16-team tournament every year. We hadn't been over there in probably 5 or 6 years. So figured we'd go out there, see some teams we don't normally see, and get some different competition.
Open Friday against Paragould, Arkansas. Part of a doubleheader on Friday. Also play Baldwin post 611. A couple of games on Saturday as well. I guess the Sikeston Silver Sox and the Lake Area Rattlers. And then I guess this finishes up pool play against the host Charleston Fighting Squirrels on Sunday. Is that right?
Well, Sundays if you make it out of pool play, so you get the 2 games Friday, 2 games Saturday, and if you win your pool, you'll play in semifinal and final on Sunday.
Oh, gotcha.
They're just the host.
They are the host. Okay, so that's just kind of a placeholder on the schedule on post19baseball.com. Scott, pretty good weekend this past weekend over at MTSU. Won 3 of 5 matchups, and you'd have been. I guess you'll be just fine if you never see the throwbacks again, right?
Yeah. So that's who I thought it was. Turns out it was actually a team out of Kentucky, just backs baseball.
Okay.
Honestly, probably should have won both games, but came up 1 run short in both of them. But other than that, had a good weekend. Had a real good opening weekend up at Murray State the first weekend. So through 2 weekends, I've had, pretty good weekends so far.
9-2 overall. The only 2 losses were those 2 that you guys suffered over the weekend to Backs baseball. Included in that 9 victories is a 3-2 win over Paragould up in Murray. So got a little familiarity with your opener tomorrow, I guess.
Yeah. After we played them in the Murray tournament, wasn't super excited to see them first game out in pool play in Missouri. They're a really talented team. Got a couple D1 shortstop, second baseman up the middle, and got several upper 80s arms. We were fortunate enough to beat them up in Kentucky the first time. So kind of looking forward to the rematch. Definitely want you to go play some of these tournaments to play some really good teams. But they'll definitely be a challenge for sure.
At the same time, you got to like the makeup of your team as you look through this roster. A lot of guys who have logged some college time already. Some junior college guys, including Herlin Duran out of Richland, who I really like watching.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So far it's been a really good mix of some experience with guys coming back. Like you said, Herlin, Cam Vaughn that played at Forest. It was over at Christian Brothers. And actually got a mix of some younger guys as well, a couple of younger Tullahoma guys. One of them being Balin Tootin, who for people in this area would probably remember his dad, Brandon, that pitched at Mount Pleasant High School and ended up pitching in the minors. So it's definitely a good mix of some older guys with experience, but also some younger guys with good upside as well.
Well, and you talk about having some guys from Tullahoma. This Columbia Post 19 has certainly ran the gamut of southern Middle Tennessee, all the way from Tullahoma, obviously Giles County, Richland, Lewisburg. A lot of local flavor, but also you guys don't shy away from going to find really good talent. And why do these kids want to play, Legion ball?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I would ask a lot of times why kids don't want to play Legion ball in our area. Sometimes you're forced to go out and find kids that want to play for you and from areas that you can draw from, because obviously Legion's different than just any pickup travel team as far as having to go out and play by certain rules enrollment wise. But I think, with the way we handle our schedule, it does show you can play Legion ball and still get good competition, as well as playing at college sites and still getting seen throughout the summer as well.
Well, and you guys, that's kind of the point of your schedule. You don't just play other Legion teams. You guys really try to get out and play some of the better programs, travel ball programs from across the Southeast.
Yeah, it's gotten harder over the years because even a lot of your other elite travel teams, it's gone so much just to like weekend tournaments. I try every year to kind of get more midweek games at Columbia State, get some closer games for our guys and games throughout the week. And it's just harder to find. But we try and go out and find the best competition we can, and, trying to play another tournament or two that's not necessarily Legion based, just to see some other teams in our area.
Scott Beasley, longtime coach of the Columbia Post-19 seniors, joining us here on Coach's Corner, presented by From the Heart Cafe over in Chapel Hill. Scott, as you talk about the schedule, obviously a lot of weekend tournaments and a lot of American Legion teams on it, but as you scroll down through here, not a lot of local American Legion teams. I think Collinwood, you've got a doubleheader with the second week of July, and that's about it. Are you concerned with American Legion ball in Tennessee right now?
Yeah, I think it's probably been a concern the last 10, 15 years. It's fluctuated, at least at the senior level, anywhere from 2 teams up to maybe 7 or 8. Right now, obviously teetering around 3. It's definitely a concern. It's obviously travel ball's hampered some of that, but I think you're even seeing it in some travel ball. Kids just don't play as much as they used to. If it was the summer and kids played baseball, that's what they wanted to do. Now there's a lot of other options for kids. So I think you're seeing even in travel ball, some numbers are dwindling as far as teams. So there's 100 different answers on where Legion and baseball in general should go in the summer. My opinion, it's got to grow at kind of the junior level, and then some senior teams kind of flow out of that. Is probably the best way out at this point.
And to that end, there are a couple of post-19 junior teams this summer. How much do you feel like that's going to help you specifically?
Will definitely help us. I think across the 2 divisions this year, I think there's like 10 Legion teams, but 8 of the 10 stem from Gallatin or Columbia. So those two posts obviously support the baseball side really well. You're starting to see a couple of teams pop up. Southern Tennessee, Lawrence County's high school teams playing Legion, Collinwood's playing Legion. So I think maybe if you can get some more high school programs to play, then eventually those might turn into some senior teams as well.
You guys, I guess, and I know Post-19 was trying to get into a little bit even younger. I'm not sure if those teams ever panned out, but obviously that pipeline does help. Now, not having a Pulaski team, did that help you guys get a few guys from down that way?
Yeah. It's helped. It's definitely helped being able to pick up just off this year's team. The 2 Tullahoma kids would have been on there, the 2 Giles County kids, and then the Richland. So I guess without diving too deep, I think 5 guys would have been zoned for them. So it definitely helped us talent-wise. Now, Fred was always good to get up a game whenever you called him. So it kind of hurts not just having somebody a phone call away that you could play a 9-inning game whenever you wanted to. So there's trade-offs. There's some good on the player side, but as far as getting some easy games, that doesn't help not having them around.
As we mentioned, Post-19 heading over to Sikeston, Missouri for a tournament this weekend. Next weekend will be a little better because you won't have to travel, but again, there's a trade-off because you've got to organize.
And that's been fun. I'd like to show you the schedule for next weekend, but we've had 3 teams drop out in the last 5 days. So,
well, I guess that answers that question.
As you just said, there's a trade-off to not having to travel. But definitely looking forward to that. Now, history says, Columbia hadn't gotten much rain the last month. It's due to get at least 4 or 5 inches of rain sometime from next Thursday to next Sunday. But definitely looking forward to it. It's nice for our guys to get to play a tournament at home and not have to travel on the weekends. So
getting to play a tournament being the key phrase, right?
Yeah. If you get to play now, unfortunately, there's been years it's been a complete washout, but knock on wood. Hopefully the field's dry enough it can take some water if it needs to.
Yeah, talk a little bit about this team right now, Scott. Again, you guys are 9-2. One of your wins again up at Murray that first weekend of the season against perennial nemesis Tupelo Post 49 out of Mississippi, who I think is coming in here. No, you're going down to their place the week after the 4th.
Yeah, and they'll be coming into our tournament as well.
Okay.
Tupelo's got a younger team this year, not as old and talented as maybe they've been the last 3 or 4 years, but we've been on the other end of that a lot, the last 4 or 5 years. So it was nice to kind of give them a little bit of payback there for sure.
There you go. What do you like about your team right now? The way you guys are playing, what you're seeing from a personnel standpoint, that type of thing.
Yeah, the biggest thing is our versatility is really good. Probably as deep pitching as we've been in a long time. I mean, we probably pretty legitimately go 10 to 12 deep with guys that have had a lot of success at the high school level and some coming back from college. And position player, we're 12, 13 guys deep there, and a lot of guys that can play a lot of different positions. Biggest thing, we got 16, 17 guys that show up every weekend this year, and that is getting harder and harder to find. But this year's team is definitely deeper and probably more talented than we've had for the last few years. So it's definitely kind of a fun group to be around, and got some local guys that's had really good starts to the year. Cole Taylor's hitting close to 600 through the first 11 games. He's kind of been on fire the whole time. Vaughn from Forest has been really well. So it's definitely been a fun group to watch so far.
Scott Beasley, the coach of the Post-19 seniors here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint. Again, the Independence Day Classic will be coming your way starting on Thursday, June 29th, going up until Sunday the 2nd. So get a chance to get out to Columbia State, make sure to do so. It's always a good time, always some great baseball. So looking forward to seeing some of that. Scott, we appreciate you taking some time with us today here on Coach's Corner, and we look forward to talking to you again soon.
Yeah, appreciate y'all having me on. And as I told Mo yesterday, y'all are brave because I got a face for radio. So
you fit right in.
Exactly.
You fit right in, man. We appreciate you.
No problem. Thank y'all for having me on.
All right.
We'll take a break. When we come back, we will keep talking baseball as we go to the 10th inning in Philadelphia. Both Kimbrell and Iglesias through the 9th. So it's
you kind of called that.
We'll see what happens from here. So stick around. Braves chatter right after this on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint. We'll be back to the Lee Company studio in just a moment.
You've been putting back a few, and a few becomes a few too many. For a moment, you think about calling for a ride. Nah, you live nearby. What's the worst that can happen? You get pulled over, your insurance goes up, you lose your license, you total your car, you kill someone.
Tired of hanging lights every year? We get it. That's why Southern Nights is here to help. We install programmable lighting on your home or business so you can enjoy beautiful, customizable lighting all year round. No more ladders, tangled lights, or cold nights outside. We do the work, you do the celebrating. Call Southern Nights today and take the hassle out of holiday lighting forever. For a free quote, give us a call at 931-241-3074 or visit our Facebook page at Southern Nights.
Hockey in Music City just hits different. It's one big honky-tonk party. It's the sea of gold in the crowd, the goals, the saves, the celebrations. It's an experience like no other. Experience Predators hockey all season long. Visit NashvillePredators.com/season tickets and join the Loyal Legion today. That's NashvillePredators.com/tickets, and we'll see you at Bridgestone Arena.
There is nothing better than drinking an ice-cold beverage while taking in a Nashville Sounds baseball game. Hi, I'm Stephanie Miller with Mornings on Main Street. The Nashville Sounds and Main Street Media Television have teamed up to promote Sunday Family Fun Day here at First Horizon Park each Sunday home game. Just go to your favorite Main Street Media website and click on Sounds Main Street Media Day banner to register to win free tickets. And then we'll see you here at the ballpark.
June 22nd, 1997, Jeff Blauser, Chipper Jones, Fred McGriff, and Michael Tucker each homered in a 9-run third inning as the Braves took a decisive lead in an eventual 12-5 win at Philadelphia. Foreshadowing? Atlanta trailed 3-1 to open the inning before teeing off on Philly starter Garrett Stevenson and reliever Ryan Nye, with Paul Burt and Brad Klontz throwing 4 shutout innings in relief of Greg Maddux to nail down the victory. That was this day in Braves history.
This day in Braves history, Michael Harris II singled to left and Hilliard scored, so the Braves lead 1-0.
Hey, if we can just get them to the 10th, guys, we got them right where we want them.
Look, this.
I guess that was the only way we were going to get somebody in scoring position.
Well, it's only. I mean, we had 2 guys in scoring position. Harris was on third with 1 out, couldn't get him in. Had Albies on second with 1 out, couldn't get him in. Braves been struggling with RISP today, but Michael Harris II has not and did not.
And now we got a runner. I guess Harris is at second with 1 out and RAJ at the plate. You feel like you almost need to score multiple innings and multiple runs and extra innings because you feel like the other team is going to score as well with that runner at second and no outs.
Well, Acuna has singled, and now there's runners on the corners with 1 out. Albies back up.
Okay. My telecast is behind. I don't like that. I don't like that. There it is.
Well, and here's the thing. You've got to be proud again of Bryce Elder, who the most boring pitcher in all of Major League Baseball, but gets the job done, and you can't argue with the results.
What did he throw, 7 shutout today?
7 shutout, 99 pitches.
No decision.
No decision.
Man, that's unfortunate. But, I mean, it's baseball.
You don't love it.
And I guess that's why people tell you that wins don't mean anything.
Yeah. I mean –
and you throw 7 shutout and you come off with nothing to show for it.
I don't think that wins mean nothing. I just don't think it's a great stat to
measure somebody
a good pitcher or not.
Well, I don't think it's the sole measure.
Sure.
I think it's a measure.
But again, Spencer Strider gets a win in the game that we won 13-10. So I mean,
just because we just happened to be in front when he left the game, and
yeah, I mean, so there's that. But I get it, and look, this pitching staff with Bryce Elder, if not for Bryce Elder, could be in serious trouble.
Thought. It really is. Yeah.
Good Lord. I'm watching the ESPN Gamecast because I don't have the telecast. And apparently.
Well, the ESPN Gamecast is ahead of Bally Sports then.
Well,
which is what I'm watching.
Marte throws a sinker, and on the on the heat map, it's like it's probably 4 foot outside. So nice. That's interesting to me.
Getting off the subject just a second. Did we talk about Liberty Media and the Braves splitting stocks or creating a separate Braves entity for the purpose of selling Braves stock?
We've not talked. Well, we talked about it when they initially decided to sell stock in the Braves. What they're deciding at this point is to actually break the stock into a completely separate company.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's interesting.
So this would make the Braves somewhat like the Green Bay Packers, right?
Yes, in a way. Now, which is really interesting, especially considering all of the hate that the Braves are getting right now from a lot of season ticket A-list holders who don't attend enough games and they sell their tickets to other fans. And the Braves have basically said, hey, if you do this, you continue to do this, you're going to lose your season ticket membership.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, I don't know that I have great confidence in the customer service aspect of that.
Yeah, that's not a great sound at all, because again, as we've discussed, 81 games is a lot of games.
And especially for Braves country. I mean, if I had season tickets here,
If I had season tickets here, I'm not going to 81 games. If I had season tickets and I lived in Atlanta, I'm probably not going to 81 games. 81 games is a lot.
I would have to live in the Battery. And I would still struggle to get to 65.
Yeah. I mean, much as I love baseball, that would really challenge me. I mean, it would feel like a chore going to 81 games, I think.
I mean, I used to watch them, but you can do other things while you're watching.
Yeah.
On TV.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do other things when you're at the ballpark.
Yeah.
And think about how much money you'd have to buy on dinner every night. I mean, it's just not feasible.
It's really not. And I think that's a concern as other cities try to put themselves in position to attract Major League Baseball teams.
Well, let's talk about that, because that is part of the situation that we find ourselves in today after The Athletic published a poll among Major League Baseball players of what city would they most prefer another team. And Nashville was, when I say overwhelming, I'm talking there were 4 options and Nashville got 3 out of every 4 votes.
Well, again, go back to Friday's show when we talked to Robert Gasser and to Justice Sheffield about being in Nashville and the significance thereof. Everybody wants to be here. So, but players ain't buying tickets either.
And that's part of it. I mean, that's great for the players to want to play here.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to play here so bad, go to the Brewers and get sent down to AAA, I guess. I mean, because it doesn't matter. I love the fact that obviously Nashville is the place that a lot of athletes want to be, whether they play here or not.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's cool. That's a really awesome thing to have. And it's great for the visibility of the city, but it doesn't translate to a successful baseball organization.
No.
Jesus.
Mm-hmm. We just had to get him to the 10th, baby.
Good Lord.
Just get this thing into extra innings, and we got it covered.
Poor guy that comes in can't even get a save.
But you know who gets the win?
Iglesias.
Now, that's assuming that the Braves don't give up at least 5 in the bottom. And I don't know who you're going to bring in because you've already thrown AJ.
Yeah, AJ Minter, by the way, threw in the 6th inning yesterday or day before yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to talk about that a little bit because that seemed a little
early.
And I wonder if his role may be changing a little or if that was just I don't know.
It's Snit. Who knows? I don't know.
It's time for Kirby Yates, I guess. Here comes Joe Jimenez.
I would hope if I had my druthers, I think I'd like for it to be Nick Anderson.
That was the only person that I would want. Yeah.
So let's see.
We'll see.
Or maybe if they can score a couple more runs, maybe it just won't matter.
Perhaps,
but there are 2 outs.
Braves up 5-0 in the top of the 10th here on Philadelphia. Good way to end that series as you head to Cincinnati.
That already shortened series since last night was rained out.
And that game has been moved to September
11th.
Oh,
to be exact. It's a day-night doubleheader.
Saw a TikTok the other day that's like that this Gen Z kid was like, when we're older, people are going to ask us about the coronavirus. And, it's kind of like they ask older people now about 9/11. And I'm like, I'm sorry, sir, what?
Like they ask older people?
Sir. At least older people have cool stories about 9/11. We just stayed at home. And I was like, sir, no. You are out of the shrine. I got a video pulled up because I wanted to talk about this yesterday. Obviously, we had a lot going on at Trevecca, but did you saw the play in the Rangers White Sox game that led to a controversial overturning of a play at the plate? Here's the play.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. There it is. Now.
So they're calling him for blocking the plate here, right?
Yes.
And Bruce Bochy, all size 10 hat, lost his mind, right?
As
former catcher, Bruce Bochy.
As well he should.
Who probably doesn't understand this entire concept anyway.
Well,
I mean, I don't know how that's blocking the plate. To me.
In the beginning of the play is what got him. Okay, his left foot is on the plate,
but his right foot
at no point.
No, his right. Okay, then he shifted for the throw
because the throw.
That's where the throw took him.
Even still, at no point did he ever block the plate.
No.
At no point was the runner's
ability to get to the plate impeded.
None. At no point.
Yeah.
This is a perfect play by the catcher, and not just a perfect play by the catcher, but a safe play by the catcher. Overturned. Runner is ruled safe. Yesterday, in the Padres-Giants game, Giants win 4-2. Play at the plate. Now, I wish we had video of this. I don't have video of this. I wish I did. Play at the plate. Padres catcher is standing in front of the plate on the third base line. Throw is coming from right field.
Now that's blocking the plate.
Yes.
Theoretically.
Yes. The play, Justin, is on my Twitter if you want to try to find it. But runner slides to the outside and is called out. See if this is it. Go ahead and play that.
Throw's coming in from right.
Now he's not in the runner's lane,
but he's up the line.
But he is up the line. Now there is an option to the backside of the plate.
But he can't really get there, I don't think, because he's so far up the line.
Now
What was the call?
The call is out. They called him out, and then the replay ruled him safe, just as the same as the other one.
Mm-hmm.
At first, I thought this was a good call.
The overturn or the original?
This one, the
Mm-hmm.
Padres Giants. Until I read a 2014 memorandum to the rule.
Mm-hmm.
A 2014 memorandum to the rule
Mm-hmm.
says that if the ball clearly beats the runner to the plate, then the out call can stand.
Mm-hmm.
Both of these instances, the ball was
Clearly
way before the runner was there.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even close.
No.
So we got to figure something out here.
This all started when Buster Posey got his ankle broken on a play at the plate. And we decided that we needed to make the game safer for catchers. And
I don't disagree that catchers should be safer. I'm just saying that
I don't disagree that it should be safer, but I will say that there is an inherent risk in playing that position.
there is. That's just part of the game.
Yes.
Much like first base at times.
And you can't legislate that out of the game, I don't think.
A simple rule is the runner and catcher both must avoid contact if at all possible. And
when you put that if at all possible in there, though, you start making things subjective.
Well, it's all subjective anyway. Even if you just say must avoid contact, well, that's subjective in and of itself.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, I mean, I just feel like it's very simple. It's avoid contact,
mm-hmm.
don't block the plate, and if the ball's there, you're out. I don't care if they block the plate or not. I mean, that's like saying that if he's 6 or 8 feet from the batter's box, from the right-handed batter's box,
mm-hmm.
and I'm standing at home plate waiting for the ball, and then I get the ball and I go tag him like that. If he stops running, I tag him. Did I block the plate? No. It's just it's dumb. It doesn't make any sense. Neither one of those plays being overturned made sense. That's all I'm saying.
I wouldn't disagree with that. I guess my concern would be that I have to avoid contact. What if I get there at the same time as the ball gets there? What if I'm able to knock the ball loose?
Well, I think that's got to be a inadvertent contact. Much like we talk about inadvertent football play, targeting, getting thrown out of the game for targeting when it wasn't
targeting,
when it wasn't intentional.
Yeah,
it was just an unfortunate play.
I think targeting, by virtue of the phrase, is intentional.
Right. And what we're calling targeting isn't necessarily always targeting.
Right.
And I think that's where some of the issues we have in all of sports, trying to avoid injury. Look, I get it. We want to avoid injury at all possible, but
I'm just not sure.
Sports.
And I'm just not sure that I want officials trying to determine intent.
I agree.
So
that's where the rub is.
Mm-hmm.
You know where contact is still allowed? NASCAR.
If you ain't rubbing, you ain't racing, right?
That's what they say. And Matt DiBenedetto is going to join us here in just a moment on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. We'll talk about the Rackley Roofing 200 and this weekend at Nashville Super Speedway. So stick around here on Main Street Sports Today. We'll be back to the Lee Company studio after this. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Custom Stone Handlers supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between, discover what Hit City has to offer. Spend your nights cheering on the Nashville Sounds at First Horizon Park with giveaways, fireworks shows, theme weekends, and more. Single game tickets are on sale now. Visit NashvilleSounds.com to claim your seat today.
Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic service, and our Ortho Quick Walk-In Clinic lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint. Chris Yow and Mo Patton in the Lee Company studio here in Columbia, Tennessee. Glad to have you guys with us as it is just past the 3 o'clock hour, which means we have one of the guests we've been waiting, we've been looking forward to for about a week now.
Mm-hmm.
And
this might be the earliest we've had a guest set up in the history of this show.
In the history of this show. At least one that actually came on, because a few have canceled, but that's okay.
But yeah, we have at times gone down to 10 minutes before airtime?
Yes.
Guests set up. So to get somebody locked in that far out and to have them actually appear. So thank you, Matt. We appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. Glad to be with you guys.
Yeah.
Matt DiBenedetto, who is currently driving the number 25 Arackley Roofing truck in the Craftsman Truck Series. Of course, they have a big race tomorrow night at Nashville Super Speedway. Matt, when you get a chance to get into the trucks, what is the difference in the truck versus the stock car? Because there's got to be one. I just don't know it. I don't know that I've ever talked to someone who's driven both.
I was when I came to the truck series, ironically, even though I've been in the sport, a long time and raced in the Cup Series for a lot of years and such, when I got in the trucks, I was basically a rookie. I didn't really have any seat time, much experience in the truck series. So main things to get used to, I'm going to be honest with you, it may sound silly. I got in, I strapped in, and I'm like, man, there's a lot of headroom in these things. This is weird. So that, that was probably the weirdest thing, because the cab is just so tall and it's different. But as far as driving them and racing them, they're all fairly similar, pretty quick, easy to adapt to. I won't bore people too much with the differences, because then I'd just be getting into details like, how they drive in traffic is a little bit different, like the aero effect, because they punch a bigger hole in the air and little stuff. But as far as how they drive, it's pretty similar. So I love the truck series, though, man. It is always insanely exciting every single week. I always say it's every lap feels like the last lap, because it's always everybody's wide open.
Well, while you don't necessarily want to bore anybody with the details, I would imagine that the bed makes airflow a little bit different and makes it drive a little bit different.
Yeah, so they are so such a big vehicle, and they're so tall. The weight of them isn't much different, and how it drives isn't a whole lot different, surprisingly. But actually, the aero side of it, like you're talking about, is probably the biggest difference. So when you're in traffic, you really got to be strategic about where you place your truck, because you're going through the corner at, let's say you're at a track like Las Vegas or Charlotte, you're going through the corner at, let's call it 100, between 170, 180 miles an hour, barely out of the throttle. And think of being on the interstate and being behind a tractor trailer, and all that turbulent air. Transfer that logic over into the Truck Series. When you're running that fast through a corner, when you're right behind somebody, that dirty air effect is a little bit more pronounced in a truck versus the car. And it's almost like getting 4 flat tires. If you're directly behind somebody, it's that big. So I treat it like a chess match. You got to be very strategic about where you're placing your truck in traffic, making sure, if this guy in front of you is running the bottom, maybe you can run a lane higher and try and find some cleaner air to make sure that your truck doesn't feel like you're on 4 flat tires.
Well, so far so good. You are ranking in the top 10 in the Truck Series so far heading into this weekend at Nashville, sitting at number 10. So looks like you figured a few things out.
Yeah, man, our team, our Rackley War team is, we've been a growing operation for sure. It's only the team's 3rd year in existence. We operate out of Centerville, Tennessee. So this weekend's obviously a really exciting race for us, being the Rackley Roofing 200, being, Rackley being my title sponsor, or being my sponsor and the title sponsor of the race. So, man, it's definitely an exciting one. But the team has, come such a long ways and been growing and been all in. I'm actually at the shop right now. I'm sitting in the break room, but just across from me, they just built their brand new shop, big race shop. So we're able to separate our late model race team and now our Truck Series race team, where we have a lot more shop space. So our team has been growing and getting better and better and better. And it's just neat to see all the strides that our team has taken, where we're now, able to be running consistently up in the top 5, up in the top 10, competing for wins, running up front. We got the team's first win last year at Talladega Super Speedway, which was awesome. So our goal moving forward here would definitely be to win this weekend. My Rackley Roofing would be super happy, and Chevrolet and everybody.
Well,
if we can win
is there any pressure on you to win this thing? I mean, do you feel like it's like, hey, I kind of got to win this thing? How much pressure is there?
Yeah, I would say take the normal amount of pressure and dial it up a few notches, because this one is huge for all of us, and it's very special being a home race for our team. And Curtis Sutton, who owns Rackley Roofing, is definitely like, hey man, no pressure or anything. I'm just kind of sponsoring everything, so it's kind of on you. So we're excited. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I'm not saying, I'm just saying. Yeah,
exactly.
Long way from Nevada City, California to Centerville, Tennessee.
Yeah, man, I grew up out in Northern California. I moved out to North Carolina when I was 13 years old, and been out there ever since. And then, since joining this race team, man, it was awesome, because I always say, if I were to move anywhere, if I had to live anywhere other than North Carolina, that's home for me and always will be. I always say I love Tennessee and love the Nashville area and everything around here. So it just gives me a great excuse to have to travel back and forth to Music City, in one of the best places in the country.
What was the attraction of Centerville for y'all's team?
So this is just home for Willie Allen, who was a former driver and is, the owner of our race team here. This is just home, and where him and his whole family lives, and they've built a tremendous racing program out this way, and they race out at the National Fairgrounds and all over the country, and they're in late models and pro late models and super late models. So at more local level racing stuff. And then when Rackley Roofing came on board and partnered with the team, which, Rackley is obviously local as well as the Nashville area, it just was kind of a perfect marriage to where it allowed this team, the Rackley War team, to expand and move into the Truck Series and continue to grow. And they, they're all in. It's so neat to have a team here out of Tennessee so all in and wanting to grow and wanting to be a championship contending Truck Series team.
Matt DiBenedetto, did I get that right?
Nailed it. It's perfect.
Awesome. You can find him at Matt D Racing on Twitter. Joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid Tennessee Bone and Joint. Matt, when you mentioned that you all are headquartered out of Centerville, I have to ask you, because I've got a friend, Jeremy Qualls, who's from Centerville. Have you been to Papa K. Joe's?
No, I haven't, but it sounds like I need to, huh?
That's what I'm told. I have not been either, but it's a barbecue establishment over there that I'm told that if you're over that way, you need to go. So you're over that way, you need to go.
You're speaking my language. Anytime it comes to food, I love to cook and I love to test out food. And that's how I map out a lot of my travels, basically based off of restaurants and foods.
Matt,
sounds like us, man.
Matt, this is a sports show, but it also doubles as a food show half the time. So we understand that completely.
Absolutely.
Oh man. Yeah, I'm in. Anytime I can go down the rabbit holes of talking about food, smoking food. I am definitely a big, that is one of my hobbies and passions aside from racing and obviously anything with an engine. Food would be a very close second to that.
Well, check that out and give us a scouting report when we get back to you then, if you would.
Deal.
Between testing cars and trucks and everything else. But what is the challenge other than the Rackley Roofing name being on this race tomorrow night? What's the challenge for you?
Last year we and our team is such a big step better thanks to all the help from Chevrolet and all of our partners. So last year we were pretty quick here. We were running fourth, and we ended up actually getting wrecked. So that would be one big thing, is make sure that we don't get in any incidents. You kind of just try and minimize your risk factor for the day. Just don't put your truck in bad positions. Try not to put yourselves in very vulnerable positions. So minimize the risk and be aggressive and be there when it counts and be there at the end. So, the truck series is, for lack of a better way to put it, I heard this quote said, and I was like, yeah, it's pretty true. The races are like a bloodbath. They are very, very, very aggressive. All the drivers, all the racing is super, super aggressive and brutal. The restarts are wild because it takes us a little bit to get up to speed. So on the restarts, you'll see us all like pushing each other, locked bumpers, and you go through the corner and it fans out 3 wide, sometimes 4 wide. It's always a mess. So basically, to answer your question, biggest challenge is kind of mitigating that risk of getting crashed, because you have to be so aggressive and capitalize on restarts, and the races are not very long compared to what I'm used to in the Cup Series. These races feel like sprint races. So the racing, that's why I always laugh and joke and say every lap feels like it's the last lap of the race. Feels like they're waving the white flag every lap, because the racing is always super, super intense. So my team, man, they put in all the effort to give the best trucks possible, and we keep getting better and better. So I think our speed is much better this year than it was last year across the board. So if we can just go out there, execute, do our jobs, and the pit crew, comes down to everybody. It's no different than a baseball team. It's no different than a football team. I relate myself to like a quarterback. I am absolutely nothing without all my guys around me, my pit crew guys. They're a third of your entire organization. I mean, we're nothing without those guys, maximizing your pit road stuff, because I can run a whole run, and it could take me a whole fuel run or like 20, 40 laps to make a couple passes and gain 2 or 3 positions. And your pit crew can have a good pit stop and gain you 2 positions within 13 seconds, so I think what I do emphasize heavily to fans and people from the outside watching in is to really try and look at the whole scope of our sport and everybody involved, because a lot of focus and everything gets, put on the driver, which we are in their wheel and the thing, but we're nothing without all the guys, my crew chief calling the shots, all the preparation, that goes into it back here, your pit crew. I could go on, but it directly correlates and relates to other sports.
Matt, we talk with Heather Williams each and every Wednesday about NASCAR, and we get and talk mostly Cup stuff. But this is the first time we've ever had an actual driver. We've had Ty Norris on with Trackhouse Racing. So my question to you is, what is the preparation like? Because obviously, when you grow up in this sport, typically Saturday night is the race night, but Sundays for the Cup. How much does that change being first out of the gate?
Yeah, it's not too much. Luckily, I just love the, a lot of our races are on Friday nights and some Saturday day races, but it kind of brings me a little bit more back to roots, or reminds me of my Friday night, Saturday night short track racing, under the lights. So I just like the atmosphere of that. But no, it's, there's some little things that you're the first on the racetrack, you're the first race. Sometimes, we're like the guinea pigs for some things. If they treat the racetrack or do something, all the other guys are watching us to be like, ooh, they put this treatment on the racetrack, or the racetrack doesn't have any rubber on it. How's it gonna lay rubber, or what grooves can we run? So I'm used to being the guy on the Cup side where we're watching the Truck Series guys to learn from them. How's the racetrack racing? What's working? Now I'm in the opposite situation where we're the first ones on the racetrack and cleaning off the track and getting it all worked in.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, that's right.
And yeah, I know that can be a struggle, obviously, when you guys have to kind of find your own way. And by the time you find it, the race is over, like you said. So it is tough, but obviously the Rackley Roofing 200 is going to be an absolute blast to watch. If you have not had a chance to get out to Nashville Super Speedway, you should definitely get out there and do that. Again, you can win tickets on MainStreetMediaTN.com. Matt DiBenedetto here with us on Main Street Sports Today. Matt, thank you so much for taking your time with us. We really appreciate it, man.
Absolutely, man. Thank you, guys.
All right, let us know about that barbecue.
That's right. Will do.
Oh, yeah. All right, we'll take a short break here, about 60 seconds, and when we come back, we'll talk about LSU
and McNeese
State. What are they going to do? Plenty of questions going around in the world of college sports. So stick around. Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid Tennessee Bone and Joint, comes back after this. This is Chris Yao with Main Street Sports Today. Every show, Mo Patton and I welcome friends from all across the sports landscape, from high school coaches and reporters to national, college, and pro sports personalities. You never know who might stop by for a chat. She's on Thinking Out Loud, presented by Regions, and Out of Pocket with Alyssa Lang. It is, in fact, Alyssa Lang.
I'm a little nervous. I'm going to lower the bar for guests now.
Oh, no.
Apologies in advance. It sounds like
SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey.
You got that radio voice.
I do.
It's a good sound.
Thanks for radio too.
As do we.
And then here's the other thing. You guys, you're spot on with the name. Everybody wants to be on Main Street. Everybody wants to be on Main Street. So,
and we reach every main street in Middle Tennessee, Coach?
Yeah, that's it. So
Perfect.
when you are on Main Street and you are moving,
you gotta love it.
Like you're moving. I was impressed.
I'm glad someone. I wasn't sure if we won or not. I had not been paying attention. Braves win 5-1. Braves win. Braves win. Braves win.
I thought about that when you said that. Yeah.
Oh man, but boy, what a great interview there from Matt DiBenedetto.
Yeah.
Cool dude. We'll look forward to getting more driver interviews potentially in the future. Very unique. But Mo, when we've talked about this situation for the last feels like 3 years, and finally a conclusion.
Yeah, what are we going to talk about now? Right?
To the Will Wade saga, and obviously Will Wade and his Middle Tennessee connection kind of makes this a little more local than some other places, but.
Right.
The IARP? IARP announced today that
no relation to the AARP.
Yeah, that's why I was like, wait a minute, that doesn't sound right.
The Independent Accountability Resolution Process.
Accountability.
Yes.
Well, some accountability will be had in the LSU program, both basketball and football, as Will Wade has been suspended, banned, I don't know what you call it, for 10 games.
Received a 2-year show cause penalty and a 10-game suspension for multiple rules violations. Reading from the Associated Press article by Aaron Beard. Ending a slow-moving case originally rooted in a federal corruption investigation into the sport. The IARP determined Wade failed to report potential violations as well as making payments to the ex-fiancee of a former player who he had coached before arriving at LSU in 2017. So that must have been when he was at, VCU, I guess, to prevent the disclosure of potential violations.
It ain't the crime that gets you.
It's
Ask Bruce Pearl.
It's the lie. It's not. Yeah. Additionally, the panel found Wade failed to cooperate with the found. How hard did they look for this? Wade failed to cooperate with the investigation running from December 2018 to August 2021, specifically by delaying full production of requested records and knowingly providing false or misleading information. It ain't the crime.
Knowingly provided.
Knowingly.
Yeah, you can't. Plausible deniability is usually a good thing. And if you don't have any, you're in trouble. Just tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth on the front side.
Or as Oklahoma State said after the fact, tell nothing.
Let them figure it out on their own.
Yep.
And perfectly good idea there too. Here's the thing. McNeese State hired Will Wade. Okay.
LSU fired Wade in March 2022, and he was hired by McNeese State earlier this year.
Does McNeese State have to show cause?
Wade's show cause penalty through June 2025 means that Wade cannot perform any off-campus recruiting activities during April and summer evaluation periods. There are also additional recruiting restrictions against Wade, who was determined to have committed 3 level 1 violations considered a severe breach of conduct that include the rule governing overall head coaching responsibility for conduct within a program. We've heard that phrase.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I mean, hey, I guess. Okay, so you've hired Will Wade to coach.
And you've hired Will Wade to close deals with recruits on campus.
They got to get to McNeese State.
Your coaching staff has to go out and evaluate. Your coaching staff has to make visits. You only get to interact with them once they get on campus.
Now, that being said, well, he can still make phone calls.
Yeah.
One would think.
Yeah.
Emails, phone calls, etc.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't leave the campus to go.
Cannot perform any off-campus recruiting activities. Yeah.
He's got to be in his office when he makes that call. Don't be at the house, Will. I don't even care if that's part of it. Just pretend it is.
Yeah, make it from a landline. Cover yourself if you're concerned with that kind of thing.
Well, and at this point, you better be. If you're Will Wade. Now,
well, theoretically, I mean, he's not been concerned with that kind of thing before. Apparently, what would make you think he'd change?
I guess so. I mean, maybe a 2-year show cause and 10-game ban and can't go. You would think that would be a little rehabilitation to the mind, but. What other penalties did LSU incur?
Now that's a good question.
Anything?
Let's see.
All right.
The case also included violations tied to the Tigers football program, and the school had self-imposed penalties for both sports, though the panel added 3 years of probation to begin this fall after the expiration of a school probation term already in place.
A reduction in scholarships by 1 year, over the 2023-24 school season and 1 over 2024-25.
So this is basketball. Okay.
15-week ban on unofficial visits during the 22-23 academic year.
Oof.
That's already happened, essentially.
22-23, okay, yeah.
Reduction in the total official visits permitted by 2 during the last academic year. 7-week ban on telephonic communications with all prospective men's basketball during last season.
This is for LSU.
An off-campus recruiting restriction of 20 days last season. An off-campus recruiting restriction for the former head coach, former assistant coach number 1, and then assistant coaches for 30 days in April and May of 2019 that's already taken place. And so really the only thing is one scholarship this season, one scholarship next season, and that's all that will be going forward.
Well, and again, I mean, the coaching staff that did everything to earn all of that is gone. Matt McMahon doesn't necessarily deserve to suffer for the sins of others.
And we've said that on this show a number of times.
And I don't really know how to get around it. I don't know how to separate, the school from its representatives at that time.
You kind of, I mean, there's got to be some kind of penalty for the school because you have to be careful who you hire. But dadgum.
Yeah.
It's a really fine line that you have
and I
to
mean,
kind
that
of,
does kind of to some degree come back to plausible deniability. I mean, not in every situation does everybody in the athletic department know what your rogue coach is doing.
Compliance. Do you have access to the schedule? I mean, we had this conversation yesterday.
We did, in fact, have that conversation yesterday.
Now, it wasn't just the basketball team. There were some issues with the football team as well, including level 2 violation for Odell Beckham Jr. handing out cash after the national championship game and impermissible contact with a recruit by Ed Orgeron. However, it was taken into account that the school had self-imposed sanctions. That being said, and the self-imposed sanction, this is one of them, vacated 37 wins between 2012 and 2015. My question to you
37?
Yeah.
Between
4
years. 4 years?
Yeah. Is the vacating of wins the dumbest penalty in all of sports?
It's pretty stupid. It really is.
What? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
I mean, who goes back and changes? They'll put an asterisk in the media guide where they've got those year-by-year records and say these were vacated due to NCAA action or whatever. But other than that,
but you know who won?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I was at the game. I saw it.
I know.
I seen it.
I seen it. That's right. You're not gonna get that on me.
I seen it. Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, look, whatever.
I mean, if it makes the NCAA feel better, then
sure. Don't have time to get into it, but NCAA and Power Fives, who knows at this point? But does this give you any bearing on what may happen or may not happen to Tennessee in the Jeremy Pruitt situation?
I don't know that it does necessarily, because I don't think there's a whole lot of parallels between the two situations.
I would agree, but again, the NCAA, like someone on Twitter said, somebody on the panel could just wake up and be like, oh, let's hammer UT today. They just woke up on the wrong side of the bed. Their toast was burnt, whatever. And next thing you know, Tennessee's got, 5-year bowl ban.
Coffee, no sugar, whatever.
I mean, something stupid. And so these type of situations are almost never predictable.
So. I don't think you can predict anything that's got anything to do with the NCAA.
No. So NCAA is trying to get some NIL issues passed in Congress. We'll talk about that potentially tomorrow because I do have some thoughts on that. So come back with us. We'll be back at 2:00 on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint for your Friday weekend update. He's Mo Patton. I'm Chris Yao. We're in the Lee Company studio, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.